My name is Kim Anderson. I'm the Director of Programs and Grants for Humanities Montana and the Director of the Montana Center for the Book. And I'd like to introduce my colleague, Sam Dwyer, our Program Officer. Hello. We're so thrilled to have you all here to help us celebrate today. And I wanted to give you a very brief history of the Montana Center for the Book and the Montana Center for the Book Prize. So you can understand what the people who are in the room today have accomplished and what we're trying to celebrate. The Montana Center for the Book is a program that has originated in the Library of Congress. And they encourage every state to create a center, and we are the home of the Montana Center. The center, the person who brought the Center of the Book to Missoula and to Humanities Montana is in the audience, the past Executive Director of Humanities Montana, Mark Schraus. Thank you, Mark. And he will be sure to correct me if I get any of this history wrong. The Center for the Book came to Humanities Montana in 1999, and Mark's idea was to celebrate the huge, rich history and body of literary works we have in this state. And so he created the Montana Festival of the Book, and he hired me to run it in 2000. And so for many years, the Montana Festival of the Book was the premier program of the Montana Center for the Book. We also supported reading and discussion series around the state, and we host a program called Letters About Literature, which is for school children who write a letter to an author whose work has had an impact on them, and that's a national contest as well. But about 4 years ago, because we are a statewide organization, we are the state's affiliate of the National Endowment for the Humanities, we decided that really the Montana Book Festival should be run and operated by a local group, a group whose mission was to serve Western Montana. And we were thrilled to work with the local organizers today to take over the festival. Humanities Montana and the Montana Center for the Book still support the festival financially, and we're thrilled to be a part of it, and we're thrilled to watch it evolve and grow, and I am particularly thrilled to not be running it anymore. So, as we handed off the book festival, we held a series of meetings 3 years ago around the state to talk to people who are involved in literature and literacy efforts and ask them, what do you think a Center for the Book should do? How could we be of help to authors, booksellers, librarians, teachers, scholars? What do you need? And one thing we heard over and over was that people felt that their work wasn't being recognized, that there was a lot going on around the state, but no place, no venue, no vehicle to celebrate it and point it out to others. And so that's why we decided to introduce the Montana Center for the Book Prize. And last year was our first year of awarding the prize. We give up to 5 prizes each year for programs that have exhibited excellence in either literary or literacy programming. And the prize comes with a $1,000 check and a very tasteful plaque. And then we also wanted to work to, and this will be something that I think grows, an aspect of the prize that will grow over the years. We on our website would like to create a space where we can promote these programs, and we can begin a collection of kind of best practices. So if in your community down the road, you are thinking that you would really like, to know what's going on around the state in early childhood literacy programs, you can look on our site and find out who's won an award in that category, and we'll put you in touch with them. We'll help you. So we hope that this grows into not just a way to celebrate the amazing work that people are doing around the state, but also an information sharing possibilities. So with that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Samantha, who's going to announce our first award.
So I get to do the really fun part and say, will Becca Carson from Airy Magazine please come accept this award? So Airy Magazine has been in existence for about 40 years. They are an international and local magazine for Big Sky High School students and teens around the world to have an experience creating a publication. And students do all of the work. They read through the submissions, they edit, they do the layout and design, and they do all of the fundraising for this publication. So it's a really amazing program that has built up a creative writing community in our local high school. And we want to kind of recognize that and give these guys an opportunity to share some examples with you, and you can hear their voices.
Well, we've won a few awards before because we always submit our magazines to the NCTE Magazine Awards, but we've never gotten a plaque. And we've never gotten $1,000. Thank you. And to best illustrate kind of how our program runs, I'm not going to talk first because we have a writing community that's run by students and their motivation is intrinsic and the work that they put in is intrinsic, and the best way to illustrate that to you is to give you a little sampling of work from last year. So we have last year's, we publish in the spring, so it's a labor of love from the time that we accept submissions all the way through publication. So I'm going to have two students come up and read on behalf of one of our international submitters who won last year's poetry award in the name of Patricia Godeke, and that will give you an example of kind of what we publish and the quality that we strive for, and also the connection between our students here in Missoula, Montana, and the students that submit from all over the United States and everywhere else in the world. So I'd like to invite, who's first? I'd like to invite Bree to the stage. This is Bree Chapman.
So the pieces me and Emery are going to be reading, as Becca said, are poems that won the Patricia Godeke Poetry Award. They are from the same author. Her name is Cindy Song. She's from Rockville, Maryland. And so the piece I'm going to be reading today is Law of Geometry. It's inspired by Joan Muro's piece, The Birth of the World. In the beginning, God created rain. In the beginning, a balloon bloomed to life, red and foreign like a storm. Everything was messy grays and murky yellows, like a mother's regret or the reeds along a still pond, bodies bending to untamed winds. In the distance, the dark figures mourn for something far away or long ago, or anything that's familiar. They love geometry because it's clean like a shadow, comforting like motherhood. As a kite unfolds above the child's face, the rain deluges a bird in the pond. Flight is only flight when there is a destination, a target to shoot at in the cacophony of never-ending parallels. When the balloon reaches vanishing point, all the birds will fly home. A surprise collision, a linear rebirth, a migration. Okay, so I
another language that means the maternal sorrow embedded in the moon's image. On dark water, magenta, I shift through stacks and stacks of newspaper clippings to find your name. But the heavens are often callous with our hearts, trembling uncontrollably and throbbing beatlessly. I wonder if our reflections are ever quite ours, ever quite the same when flipped upside down. Right side, left side, somersaulting across a shining river, plastered to the sides of impassive black cars. They are life on their own. Ripples in the lake make me think of time. Ripples in blue fabric stretching us open and stuffing us with loneliness until we are the teddy bears in our bedrooms, the discarded reminders of stop-drop childhood, and this is where it all begins and ends. The edges of your reflection blur, towing the ripples and rolling gently into mine.
So as you can see, we have a lot of fun every year reading our own poetry sometimes when we have the opportunity to do so. But we also really take pride in being able to represent an array of voices from all over the world. And one of my favorite parts is the teacher in this program is watching the connections that form between students who don't know each other and will probably never meet in real life, whether it's because they like some cute boy's bio photo, even if his work is terrible, or or if it's because they read a piece and it feels like something that they could have written themselves. And running a literary magazine is a full-time job. So is teaching. So we have a kind of interesting task before us, and the only reason this program works is because these students take on the full-time job of running a literary magazine program, and they do it with the same professionalism as any other literary magazine. We have a submittable. We open our deadline at the same time every year. We filter up to 700 submissions from people all over the world, and then somehow have to narrow it down over the space of a few months while they juggle their IB classes and their extracurriculars and their random groundings every once in a while. Put in hours and hours outside of school, and they revise their own work and somehow make a magazine come together in that amount of time under kind of ridiculous circumstances and with no budget. So I think it's almost a source of pride for us that we raise our money from the bottom up every year by hosting community events, and these students get up to read work of their own or work of students internationally, and we just have a really great time keeping literacy alive in the community in a way that you can't take it away when it's intrinsic. And I think that the big challenge as a teacher is to figure out, well, how do you make them care? How do you make them learn? And you can. But if they're given the opportunity to do something important, then they do it themselves. And the magazine is important because it gives a voice to students all over who maybe would never be published otherwise without it. Or maybe it's their first time being published, and then that sets off a catalyst of other things that they want to do. And being a writer and experiencing some degree of success in that, and seeing that it can extend outside of high school, opens up so many opportunities for students outside of my classroom. And obviously, I've not been running this program for all of the years that it's been in existence, but I was very grateful to inherit it, and I've been teaching it long enough now that I've gotten to see some of the benefits of students who leave this program and then go on to do other things. And I think a real testament to that is that any time that we're in a bind, it takes one Facebook post or one phone call, and students who graduated 3 years ago are in the classroom in a heartbeat, helping the younger sophomores learn how to do things. They do all of the desktop design on their own, so not only do we have to sift through the submissions, but they learn how to use InDesign and Photoshop and all the Adobe suite. They've got to make business calls and write letters and learn how to do all of these things that only real life can teach you how to do anymore because there's not enough time in school. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to teach a class that exists outside of just this like microcosm of high school. And I'm grateful to see kids in the audience who graduated a few years ago who keep coming back. I've got students back here who, you know, year after year come back, and I love hearing about their college lives and everything else. And to illustrate a little bit of the history of this program, I just wanted to read an excerpt for you. The first issue of Area International came out, unfortunately, the year I graduated high school, which is kind of funny. And Laura Lee Evans Lynn was the prior teacher and advisor to our program, and we really loved her a lot, but she passed on a really cool legacy, and I chose to publish the first letter that appeared in Area International. And I think I'm going to leave it in every Area International for a while now, because we're existing in a time and a space when this message is more important now than it ever has been before. And so I'm just going to read you a little bit about how Area International began so that you can understand where we came from, and then you can interpret where we're going when we start making all those choices pretty soon. She says, "The impetus for this magazine comes from many places. From a longing to throw open the windows of our school, from a teaching exchange to Central Asia through the U.S. State Department, from all the students who have traveled abroad and returned with new languages or ways of seeing the world, from every Hmong student I've ever taught whose families carried a culture of centuries from the mountain villages of Laos and Cambodia and across the muddy waters of the Mekong River, from every American Indian student who daily walks the invisible divide between two cultures, from my great aunt who lived in China for 20 years and who told stories of visits to the countryside where strips of linen were still boiled to bind the feet of the village daughters, from every rodeo and every powwow, from every county fair and Sunday afternoon soccer game. Most especially, this magazine derives from Missoula, Montana, where 28 years ago I came to write poetry and study with Richard Hugo. Dick was a generous man and teacher. He embraced people and places and gave them voice in poems. Poems that remain true, hungry, human, beautiful. We've been studying some Dick Hugo this week, so. Only recently have I come to think of this magazine as an extension of what he gave me as a student, the kind of writing community that would assist a high school teacher nearly 30 years later in giving a magazine like this one, a real chance. This project has been supported by myriad writers and artists, many of whom were Dick's students and colleagues, his friends and family. They are on our advisory board and represented in the Art and Writing Awards we are so honored to offer. One of those students, Sandra Alcauser, who in 2005 became Montana's first poet laureate, has been our champion, and she herself embodies the generosity, beauty, and honesty that characterized Dick's life. She moves in to recognize some other members of our advisory board, and one thing that I love about this is that I walked into inheriting this program. Laura Lee's total opposite in some ways, and in other ways, you know, we kind of are cut from the same stuff, I guess, but I've been lucky to inherit all of the same people who cared about the program and who cared about Laura Lee and who cared about the magazine, simply because the mission of keeping literacy alive over borders and in a high school where the focus is increasingly on, you know, math, science, jobs, what are you going to do with your life, you know, what are you going to be when you grow up? It's not the most important thing, and I've been really blessed to learn that through the guidance of people like Robert Lee, who is in the audience today, and Cheryl Nothi and Carolyn Patterson with the Missoula Writing Collaborative, who didn't know me at all, but when I stepped into this job as area advisor, I inherited all of the same support and fervor and interest as the program's always had, and that's how you know when something really matters in a community. Inviting our young people to claim a legitimate place as serious writers and artists seems fundamental to ensuring this certainty. So finally, this magazine comes from the desire to offer young people a window that can open anywhere in the world and which inspires the kind of honest poets storytellers and artists, which have come to exemplify the literary and artistic landscape of Montana. And that was written the year that I graduated high school. I made my way through college, found my way somehow to teaching area, and still think that every single word of the letter and the mission statement of why Area International came to exist is every bit as important now as it was then. And so we're still here. I inherited the program with one creative writing class with 11 students in it and 2 areas. And today we have 2 creative writing classes that are packed at 30. And I think there are a total of 25 area students between the 2 classes. We've kind of united it as Area Magazine program. We host community events every year. We involve other schools from Arlie and Celia Swan, and we went into the 6th grade last year at Target Range and helped them workshop their poetry. And I think that we've got a lot of things to say and a lot of important things to do, and this is just the beginning. So thank you for your support and for your recognition. And I want to invite our senior editor, Mariah, up to the stage to just say a few words about the student side of Area.
Man, I slow down there for a second. You know, I haven't thought about what I'm going to say, and I think that that's okay, because Area is not ever staged. You can't ever, like, you know, decide whatever's going to happen in Area. It just happens. Many things happen. And so I'd just like to thank everybody, first of all, for supporting Area, all Area parents and our community members, Area alumni sitting in the back, everybody that makes this magazine possible. We really depend on our community to make Area happen. Area happens a lot inside the classroom, but more outside the classroom, and I think that that's where it really matters, because it's not about showing up to class on time or doing your homework. It's just about being a community of writers that support each other, and we really depend on our community for a lot of things. You know, our venue is all about connections, where we have our readings and what we do with that, and I think it's just really important that the more outreach we can get with our community is better. Like Becca said, Area is just beginning. Even though Area's been around forever, like, it's still getting there, and I never got the chance to, like, spend a lot of time with Lauralee, but I know she did a lot, and alumni have helped me figure out who she was, and I wish that I had her as a teacher also. But that was just kind of my thank you. Like I said, I'm not sure what to say when I'm saying up here. So if anybody has any, like, questions or thoughts, would be great. If you just want to shout at me, that's cool too. Not going to take up a ton of time, because we have other amazing people who won this award also. But, you know, thank you to also Kim and Sam and everybody else that's here today. We really appreciate you supporting Area. Just know that Area is more than like some people know. You know, some people don't know what Area is, even in our school. But we're getting there, because Area is super important. And Area has really changed my life personally. It's my 3rd year in Area. I took creative writing as a freshman with Becca, and then was in Area as managing editor my next year. And we've just kind of grown since then. It's really beneficial, and I think that if you have any kiddos who are in high school or are going to go to high school soon, definitely put them in Becca's classroom, because it's worth it. And it's really important that we continue to grow Area, and please just keep supporting Area. Our magazines are in this little hallway over here. We didn't have a lot of time. So Area Big Sky, which is the blue cover with the light bulb on the front, has Big Sky High School student work in it, and it's $10 per copy. Area International is the cool gum one, and it's 12, and then a set is 20. Just, we're gonna hang out for a little bit, listen to some other people who won this award. Feel free to come talk to any of us. Area kind of took up this whole half over here, so talk to us for any questions, and I just really appreciate everybody who came out today and everybody who continues to support Area.
Yay!
I also wanted wanted to just briefly mention the other two Montana Center for the Book Prize winners this year, who are not based in Western Montana. We'll be having ceremonies for them throughout the year. And one of the organizations is Arts Without Boundaries, which is based in Billings and Bozeman, and does a similar kind of writing in the classroom work in South Central and Southeastern Montana. And then also Books for Heart Butte Kids, which is totally volunteer organization that has gotten together to provide books in Heart Butte, which is a very, very rural reservation community up on the Rocky Mountain front. So those are our congratulations to those winners as well. Now, I feel like we're going backwards in time because we started with Erie, and now we're going into a kind of high school, but also middle school and elementary school program. And then we're going to finish up the day with a group of people that work with really little kids. So we're all Benjamin Button. I am very pleased to present the next prize. I was lucky enough in another lifetime to work with this amazing organization, the Missoula Writing Collaborative, and its founding artistic director, Cheryl Nothey. It was one of the most rewarding jobs I ever got to do. The Missoula Writing Collaborative was founded in 1994, is that right? It's unbelievable. They are currently in 28 schools. These are professional published writers who work during primarily 12-week residencies in classrooms throughout Western Montana. Our advisory committee was incredibly impressed with their work overall, but especially with the program that they introduced several years ago called In Our Words, Creative Writing Residencies on the Flathead Reservation of the Salish and Kootenai Confederated Tribes. In Our Words has put 14 writers in 22 classrooms, reaching over 550 students on the Flathead Reservation since 2015. These are 4th and 5th graders in Arlee, in Dixon, Pablo, St. Ignatius, and Ronan, and they all get to work with the Missoula Writing Collaborative's published professional writers in these 12-week residencies. Writers use regional and American Indian poetry as writing prompts. Residencies feature appearances by Salish poets like Heather Cahoon and Vic Charlo. And in November, they hold a reservation-wide potluck, which features the students' work, sometimes translated into Salish. So with that, I would like to ask Carolyn Patterson and Cheryl Nothey up to accept this award. Here's the chat.
Give it to her then.
We also have Dick Littman, who is our program coordinator.
25 years ago, I came here from working in South Bronx, teaching kids at Teachers and Writers Collaborative, which was like being dipped in fire. So when I moved here, I wasn't going to wait on table anymore. And I founded the Writing Collaborative, and Kim was instrumental in the beginning of bringing it together with me. And she's always been an important part. When I was in 5th grade, I came from a broken, battered, molester kind of home. And I had no self-esteem. I bit my nails, I went to bed, I had a tick, I made noises, and I didn't have any friends. But a 5th grade teacher told me, "You're going to be a writer. You're going to publish books." She gave me the script for my life, and I rewrote it. So I want to share that with the kids in Missoula schools. It takes one adult to tell you that you're perfect. And then you know you are, and you go for it.
I'm not that tall. I'm Carolyn Patterson, and I'm the current executive director. And I came to the collaborative as I was a writer for the collaborative, and I started in Helena when they wanted to extend the writing collaborative to Helena, and I had lost my job there, and Megan, who's the director, called me and said, "What do you think about, teaching 4th graders?" And at that point, I'd only been teaching at the university, and I thought, well, why not? And at that point, I also had a son who was in middle school, and I was so furious at what he was reading in middle school, which was 3 little pumpkins sitting on a fence, one fell off, you know, and I thought, this is what they're reading in 6th grade. So I kind of had a mission to bring in good poetry to 4th graders and 5th graders. So I brought in everything I was teaching to college students. I brought in Robert Frost, I brought in Elizabeth Bishop, I brought in, Melissa Kwasny and Richard Hugo, and I think of those early classes because, we were reading The Villager by Richard Hugo about an alcoholic on the Isle of Skye, and we were reading Elizabeth Bishop's Catching a Fish, and there were, words like isinglass in there, and I mean, the kids were incredible, and the teachers were like, this is way above our 4th grade level. And I'd be like, well, I don't know, just let's try it. And the kids really loved it. You'd have to explain a couple of things, but the poetry that came out of those kids was amazing. And I was just hooked. And I felt like the 2 things that this writing program really brings into a classroom are things that are really missing in classrooms, and there are so many fantastic teachers. This is nothing about teachers, but one is passion. I think we distrust passion in classrooms, and the other is play. And I think that we kind of give permission to kids to feel passionate about things because we're passionate, we're as writers, and we give them permission to play with words, to play with, to even bring in the play that they have in their lives with, bike jumps and ice princesses and all that kind of stuff. And we give them, we say, they go, really? I can write about football? Or I can write about, my bike jump? Or I can write about my fort in my closet, among my mother's old shoes and coats and stuff. And we're all like, yes, yes, yes. So anyway, that's kind of how I got started. And just to talk a little bit about our programs, and we have several kids here who are waiting to read, so we want to get to our kids right away.
Forget it, Nick.
Yeah, I would like to. I had the pleasure of putting on our 13th annual that Cheryl also started, the Words with Wings summer camp this summer. And we have a few writers from our summer camp here, and these are writers who often we've come to their school, sometimes they found us on their own, but often we've come to their school in 4th grade, and they love writing so much they wanted to do it during summer camp. And so they come for an intensive week of writing in summer camp, and we host it on University of Montana campus. So I want to invite them up to read some of their poetry. This is just an example of the types of poems we get from kids. So we'll start with Elias Moynihan.
You have to kill him for his mom.
I'll be reading one poem called Horse and Rider. It's from a sculpture at the art museum. So here it is. Horse and rider, friend and friend, 2 pals melted together. The fronts take a glance to the west. And I just decided that I'll be reading the other one. This one's called Wolverine. Small beasts of the prairie, carnivorous, half bear, half wolf. Strong, fierce survival, Wolverine. Brown on the tip of its tail fades into a blonde streak with brown surrounding it, as if a group of blonde workers surrounding you to get their pay.
Here's your book, Mark.
Okay. Thank you, Eliza. That was wonderful. Next, we'd like to invite up Tess Allison. So our Words with Wings poets are ages 8 to 14. And in the morning, we have kind of an intensive 3 hours of poetry. In the afternoon, we go all over Missoula, and we go, like you notice, Elias's poem was from going to Montana Museum of Art and Culture, and go there and get inspiration from the paintings.
All right, so I'll be reading my I Am From poem. I am from fire. It burns through my body, making my face like a hot tomato, not a potato. Fire rages through me and water calms me down. The shadows is where you'll find me, for the dark is where I shine brightest. Darkness dances against my flame as the sweet smell of lavender fills the basement, cold and yet warm. Candles flame, dances through the air before a fresh breath of air pauses the music. Flame turning to smoke flies through the sky with one last final note. Sparklers course fear through my veins as a fire calms me. A spark burns my skin with a small crackle and sizzle. Fire burns down the walls of my calm, allowing armies of emotion to charge into my mind, into my body, into my words. Yet the fire is still peaceful as it burns. Crackle of wood, small smoke, pieces found in the dark with a single burning flame.
Thank you, Tess. Last, we'd like to invite up Hannah Lundy. Hannah.
Soraya, you'll be last. Okay.
I'll be reading 2 poems actually. Run. Trying to escape, running from home. They're following me. I run faster, heart pounding so hard it might escape my chest. And then I'm on the plane. The plane that takes me away from my old life, and now I will start my new life. Second poem I will be reading is called Orphanage. Oh my God. Their cries are too loud. All they want is sleep. Babies wailing for food, while their older siblings scream and laugh in the yard. But me, I'm stuck in my crib, with a net over it so that I don't escape. Can you believe that? Wait a second. Is that a zipper I see? Let's see what it does. It opens the net. Nice talking with you, but I've got to go.
Last, we're inviting up Soraya Keeley.
I'll be reading, we did odes to colors, and I chose one called Fuzzy Peach. Ode to Fuzzy Peach. I love the way your silky touch sweeps across my face like a dove's smooth feathers. How your simple grace seems to flow freely in the salty breeze. You remind me of a shiny, coiled ocean shell bathed in the sun on the warm, soft sand, or a single petal of a dainty, blooming flower swaying in the sweet-smelling wind. You are such an amazing color, wild and free, yet cold and encased. You are my cute straw sun hat, my cozy throw pillows, my best friend forever and always.
Montana, to Kim, and to Sam. We're really delighted with this award. If you have any questions, ask us later, but thank you so much for coming.
And Carolyn, I think we took their check too.
Oh. That's how I get extra donations. Sorry.
Our final award today goes to a program that is a bit newer than the last two that you've seen. In 2015, the North Valley Public Library started a unique early literacy program called Captain Hooked on Books. It's an interactive program for children ages 3 to 5 years old, so little ones this time. They come to the library or the local Head Start, and they meet with Captain Hooked on Books, aka Kim Gibbs, and her sidekick, Petey the Parrot, to reinforce early literacy skills with reading and singing and dancing. In 2016, 699 children participated in the program. In 2018, attendance grew to 722. So just in a few years, this program has expanded and reached a lot of children, and we wanted to recognize that the excellence of this early literacy program in our community. This summer, Captain Hooked on Books retired so she and Petey could spend more time sailing the high seas and reading books. But she turned over her important work with kids to Montana Molly. Montana Molly and Captain Hooked on Books, will you both please come up and accept this award?
Well, shiver me timbers. I never in a million years thought I would win an award for my work and my play with children. But it's been wonderful, and I'd like to just take a few minutes to share with you some of the things that we've done over the past few years. My name is Captain Hooked on Books, and I'm a pirate. But I'm not a mean pirate that steals other people's treasure. I'm a nice pirate who loves to share treasure. And one of the greatest treasures I have to share with children is books and great stories. And that's what I've been doing for the past several years in the Stevensville area. And I have loved every second of it. I love working with that pre-literate group because for them, everything is real. Everything is possible. And so I was real to them as a pirate, and all of the characters that we read about in our stories were real. And we loved using our imaginations, whether we were reading about Gerald the elephant or his sidekick Peggy. We just had a ball in those stories. We learned life lessons, and we laughed, and we went on adventures through those stories, and it was great. Not only did I share stories with these kids, but I also did several activity songs with them. And again, their age group makes them so uninhibited that they were perfectly willing to wiggle their waggles away with me and zoom to the moon and yo-ho around the rooms. We just had a ball moving around and combining movement with the reading, so it was great. But I have to say, I think the part that the kids loved the best was this. This is my parrot, Petey. Petey, say hi to everybody.
Hello. Oh. Wait a second here. Captain Hooked on Books. These folks are much older than the folks you usually hang out with.
Yes, Petey, they are. These are adults, but guess what? They love books just as much as we do.
Oh, well, I guess I like them already.
You know, the kids loved Petey, and if I had ever shown up without him, truly they would have mutinied. I mean, there was just no, not bringing him out. I would sit down all ready to start sharing time, and they'd say, "Where's Petey?" And I'd say, "Well, you got to put up with boring old me first, and then we'll bring Petey out." But the interesting thing was, Petey served as my counterpoint. So I tried to be a cheerful pirate, and he was kind of an ornery parrot. Whereas I loved to share treasure, he was pretty stingy. And so I could work through him to teach the kids how to be positive and how to be kind to others and how much fun sharing could be. And so they loved him in spite of all that. And you know, puppeteers, or I should say real puppeteers, will tell you that they often don't like anybody touching their puppets, kids to touch the puppets, because they get them dirty and they get them smudged and they ruin them. But I broke that rule right off the bat. And this is the most loved, kissed, hugged, squeezed, and sneezed on puppet you will ever want to meet.
And it was worth every germ.
Say, Captain Hooked on Books, do you think these folks love jokes? Well, I don't know. Do you folks like to hear a joke?
Yeah.
You want to hear a good joke?
I wouldn't go that far. I will tell a joke. All right, Petey, let's hear it. I'm a little nervous. It's okay, I got your back. You're fine. Captain Hooked on Books has a brand new pirate ship. You should see her. She's sleek. She's fast. She's beautiful. And best of all, she gets 40 miles to the galleon. Hey, did you hear the one about... We said one joke, Petey. One's good. Oh, I was really on a roll there. You're always rolling, Petey. Always rolling. So I have to say, never in my life did I ever expect to grow up to be a pirate. And it's been wonderful. And nor did I ever expect to receive an award for something that I thought was play. So on behalf of the North Valley Public Library, Petey and I would like to say thank you so much. Else. When I retired in May, the library decided they definitely wanted to continue the Storytime program and have it character-driven. So believe it or not, they found another adult who just refuses to grow up. So I'd like to introduce to you Montana Molly.
I'm Montana Molly. My goodness, my golly. I'm happy to be here with you folks today. Are you happy too? This is Rocky. Rocky's a marmot. And my thing is celebrating this beautiful state that we live in, which I was born in, so I'm a native. Rocky, are you a native too? Mm-hmm. That's good to know. Anyway, as Montana is called the treasure state, it is my feeling that the most precious treasure we have in our state was embodied by the kids that we had come up here today, by the children that Kim and I work with or have worked with. Their precious minds, their precious imaginations, and Cheryl sharing that story of your childhood and how at 5th grade someone saw something in her. And that's what I hope to bring to the children of the North Public Library, helping them come from whatever type of life they have to feeling good about themselves, liking themselves, loving themselves. And Rocky helps with that every Tuesday. So if you're ever in Stevensville at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, please stop by the North Public Library and you will find Rocky and Montana Molly. I have to tell you though, Captain Hooked on Books has left some awful big boots to fill. And I'm just barely starting, aren't we, Rocky? Yes, we're just barely starting. But we love literacy and we love books. And I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking how the world around us is about entitlement. And I wish to share and embrace the antithesis, which is gratitude and a positive attitude. And that's what I hope to bring to the children that I work with every day, every Tuesday. Thank you.
Well, thanks to all of you for being here to help us celebrate and honor these great organizations and these great kids. And thanks for taking part in the book festival for all these years. We're glad to see you. But authors and writers need audiences, and we're grateful to you. So thanks again.